Imagine the greatest philosopher in Western history publicly humiliated by his own teacher, a quarter of the way through a dialogue. That happens in Plato's Parmenides. The young Socrates watches his theory of forms get systematically dismantled. The strangest part? Plato wrote it himself. This is philosophical tragedy authored by the man it destroys. First, the theory under attack. Plato claims every particular thing participates in an eternal unified form, a beautiful sunset, a beautiful face, a beautiful equation. All share in one form of beauty itself. The forms solve a deep problem. How can many different things share a single nature? Answer: they participate in one perfect essence that exists beyond space and time. Unity above, plurality below. The theory's entire power rests on that unity holding. Parmenides opens with a deceptively simple image. Imagine a cell thrown over a crowd of people. Does each person stand under the whole cell or only under a part? If the whole cell covers each one, the same cell is in many places at once. If only part covers each, the cell is divided. Now replace the cell with a form, and the crowd with its instances. Either the form fragments or it multiplies. Unity is already in trouble. Make it concrete. Take the form of chairness and the 3 actual chairs. First horn, the whole form sits inside each chair, but then chairness itself, supposedly one unified thing, is now present 3 times over in 3 separate locations. The form has been multiplied. Second horn, only a part of the form sits in each chair, but a form is supposed to be indivisible, pure, simple, complete. Slice it into thirds and you no longer have the form. You have fragments. Each chair contains a shard, and the unity Plato needed is gone. This is the participation dilemma, and it cuts to the bone. The forms were invented precisely to provide unity behind plurality. But the moment you ask how a form is actually present in its instances, both answers betray the original purpose. Socrates tries to push back. Maybe participation is something else entirely. Parmenides waits. Each escape route only deepens the wound. And the most devastating argument hasn't even arrived yet. It's called the third man. Consider 3 large things: a mountain, an elephant, a monument. What makes them all large? The form of largeness. They share it, they participate in it. Now ask, is the form of largeness itself large? Plato's own writings say yes. The form of beauty is supremely beautiful, the form of justice supremely just. So largeness is large, but now we have 4 large things: the mountain, the elephant, the monument, and the largeness itself. By the same logic that demanded a form for the first 3, we need a new form to unify these 4. Call it largeness 2, but largeness 2 is also large, so it joins the set, and we need largeness 3 to unify them. Then largeness 4, then 5. The regress never stops. Instead of one form behind many particulars, we get an infinite tower of forms, each requiring another above it. Modern philosophers, especially Gregory Vlastos, have shown this argument is logically sound. It rests on 2 assumptions Plato himself accepted: self-predication and non-identity. The third man hasn't been answered in 2,000 years. Socrates tries to escape. First attempt: maybe forms aren't real entities at all. Maybe they're just concepts in our minds. Nominalism. If largeness is only a thought, it isn't itself large, and the regress dies. Parmenides answers in one strike. A thought must be a thought of something. When you think large, your thought has an object, and that object is exactly what we were calling the form. Either the thought is empty or the form returns through the back door. Nominalism collapses. Second attempt: maybe forms are patterns in nature. A tree resembles the form of tree, the way a copy resembles its original. No participation, just resemblance. Parmenides' counter is elegant and devastating. Resemblance is reciprocal. If the tree resembles the form also resembles the tree. And whenever 2 things resemble each other, they share something. namely the form of likeness. So tree and the form of tree both participate in likeness, but now likeness resembles itself, requiring a higher form of likeness, and so on. The third man returns wearing a different mask. Every escape Socrates attempts gets routed back into infinite regress. By this point in the dialogue, the young Socrates has gone almost silent. Socrates concedes, not at the end of the dialogue, near the beginning. Plato has his greatest character defeated in the opening act. Why would Plato author his own demolition? Two possibilities. He saw genuine problems and refused to hide them. Or he was testing his readers, leaving the answer for those willing to think harder. Probably both. What's certain is this. Plato keeps using forms in later dialogues. He didn't abandon the theory, he sharpened it against its own edge. The Parmenides becomes a turning point. The mature Plato wrestling with the limits of his own metaphysics in public, in writing. The arguments here shaped everything that followed. Aristotle's substance theory was an attempt to fix participation without forms floating above the world. Medieval philosophers spent centuries arguing whether universals existed in things, before things, or only as names. Modern debates between realism and nominalism trace their lineage straight to this dialogue. The theory of forms didn't simply die in the Parmenides, it became the problem. Every metaphysician after Plato had to answer the questions Parmenides raised. Socrates fell silent. The conversation never did.